Welcome, everyone, to Blood and Iron, Dead Man's Hand. Where we had left off, our coterie, Dead Man's Hand, had been split in two for a majority of the night, and had been going about finding clues to the various things that they've been digging into. Primarily, they've been trying to dig up dirt on their primogen. Dr. Ian Keller, probably the most disturbing of kindred that they have possibly met to this night. A man who toils away at his own personal projects, makes it very clear who and what he wants. And perhaps, if it's true what they believe about this sort of domain being a dumping pot for any undesirables, that Primogen Keller's been dumped here with them as well. Well, perhaps there's a way that they can leverage it. Perhaps there's a way that they can make things better for everyone involved. As there is a feeding crisis amongst the kindred of the Arlington domain, kindred number to the populace probably closer to 1,000 to 1 in this small suburban city. Finding opportunity without stepping on toes, without causing a mess, without drawing too much attention and breaking the masquerade, and causing their own undeath, or final death in this case, is on everyone's mind. Those who walk the streets to feed on the humans of this domain spend hours and hours, even days of their life, just trying to find a single meal. And the Dead Man's Hand coterie is no different, starting to experience that themselves. So, they aim for other things. So, while Aaron and Alexandra are still piecing together the sort of warded, locked sort of cubbyhole in Aaron's haven, Shriek and Dorian find themselves at a restaurant. A very fine restaurant. Sort of low lit, very intimate setting. Very beautiful to look at when they walk inside. Which Shriek speaks very highly to the things that you know and love about Toreador, as you're babysitting a couple of them, and they're starting to turn their own home into something like this as well. But you come to this place dressed as finely as you possibly can, and are scheduled to meet a man by the name of Jacob Thorne, a Toreador of some repute, one who has made himself a very comfortable living in the city of Dallas proper. Servant only to the Toreador Primogen, he stands before you at a table and kind of greets you both with a shake of the hand. Dorian, he shakes your hand very welcomingly He's very reluctant to even touch you at the moment, Shriek.
I take no offense. Trust me, it's been one of those situations where the Nosferatu and the Toreador are made opposites. Can't help it. Pretty as I might look for one of my kind, well, let's be real. I might make this look fabulous, but Mr. Thorne really doesn't want me here any longer than he has to. Mostly in fear of me making sure that this place isn't. Well, let's just say the inspector better not show up tonight.
Here's hoping. But that reluctance is very short lived, as he does, in fact, take your hand to give it a shake.
And I do so with the most. I try and end up maintaining good presence. Try and end up doing so as maybe he wouldn't expect. Maybe to partially throw him off. Maybe in just the hopes to end up making sure that it, well, leaves a good impression at the very least. Like as if this venture somehow tamed a Nosferatu. Let him believe what he wants. It's more fun that way.
Always.
Hmm. But, before we sit down, I would present him with a small gift.
And what would
High-end,
that gift be?
a high-end fragrance, rose oil based. Something that smells pleasant.
You went very expensive with this particular fragrance. A little on the nose about the rose, don't you think?
Well, I was always taught to put my best foot forward, and figured a small gesture can go a long way.
The gesture is very much appreciated. I'm sure one of my girls would find this fragrance very lovely.
No worries. Ah, but it is a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for taking your time out to have this meeting.
Yes, rather busy some nights, rather dull others, so you've picked a dull night.
Hmm. I can only hope that we can provide some entertainment.
It remains to be seen. But you had things that you wanted to ask, so let's get right down to business, shall we?
Sure. I know that you do a lot in the way of public works and bettering your area, and I am looking to do much of the same. But I'm looking to make sure that I can do so. How do I say this? Sometimes there is a roadblock that I have to try to navigate around, and I was wondering if you might have any advice on how to navigate that.
Specifically because the roadblock is one that you may be more familiar with.
I'm very familiar with red tape, if that's what you mean. Or are you meaning something else?
A certain kindred.
Certain kindred. Well, that depends on whom.
Our new
Keller.
crew. Yes.
Keller. And what would the former primogen of the Arlington domain have against Keller?
Me? I don't have anything against him at all. I'm sure that he'll end up continuing to end up upholding the masquerade and its fine traditions
Well, of
and
course.
all. However,
You wouldn't bring it up if you didn't have some kind of complaint.
hmm, I believe that you've already navigated these waters and have charted them well.
I wouldn't be in the position I am if I didn't.
And I think that even with my former role as Primogen, it didn't end up putting me into a position, even temporarily as it was, without me taking note of heeding my elders.
Kissing the right boots.
If you wish to see it like that. Besides, I'm sure that you appreciate the idea of a Nosferatu coming to a Toreador, especially in a, well, shall we say, a particularly haunted city. I figure the poetry alone would be worth the ear.
Interesting.
Mr. Resner is simply trying to develop the domain. Of course, this is in the best interest of the city at large, especially given how volatile our little chunk of the domain is. But you can understand a problem when we put Keller in the mix, who, for the most part, is utterly disinterested. And yet will become interested the second something changes, even if it's for the better because it wasn't under his guard.
That is
You understand the conundrum.
fairly typical of a Malkavian. However, in my experience, they're flighty. Tend to act on some whims and double down on their digging in their heels in some cases.
I also will note, Mr. Thorne, that as Mr. Resner tried to placate to your sensibilities, as a point of respect, you have reciprocated it in the straight to business discussion, as is his proclivities. It hasn't gone unnoticed, and I thought should be applauded. A very good start to the conversation. I applaud your acumen.
You do a lot of speaking for Mr. Resner, I take it.
I do speaking when it's of matters more to court. Mr. Resner is more of a business acumen in that he more is concerned with the numbers in that regard. Whereas me, well, let's be honest, I just love the sound of my own voice.
Yes. Yes, I'm very aware, Mr. Shriek. Very, very aware of your reputation.
So, with that in mind, and the previous history of the domain, as a once Primogen, I continue to end up serving the court and its interests. However, when the court's interest and the interests of my current Primogen are concerned, you can imagine on a bit of, shall we say, red tape that causes issues.
Yes. It does tend to do so. And I tend to be to make those kinds of issues less prevalent, I shall say. So, what is it that you're asking me? Be direct.
He looks to Mr. Dresner.
I'm looking for advice on ways to deal with him on a professional level.
And what exactly do you
And
mean by deal with him, Mr. Resner?
either I do not know how you have navigated dealing with him in the past, but I would like to get these works done because they are a great betterment to our domain. And if he wants to stand in the way, I wish a way to go around or convince him.
What works are we talking about?
Currently, I am in the process of providing housing and a way to improve feeding in my domain.
And you think that the Primogen has either zero interest or wants to stand as a bulwark against your plans. Am I correct?
You would be correct. I don't think that he is too keen on improving or developing this domain, and I see it having great prospects.
That is, if you believed the former base of the Anarchs and the current shithole of this entire region to be a place of development. But
I was
but I
I
was
was
going
just
to.
reminded of an old saying, sorry, that even a rose can grow amongst the shit. So even amongst the worst areas, there can be beauty to be found. And there is possibilities.
I don't deal in possibilities. I deal in facts. I deal in statistics. I deal in red tape. I make things go faster than they ought to, and you're asking for my help in your developments. Your developments, which include housing, which would increase the population of the kind in your domain, which would then benefit you. But how does that
This
benefit
housing is for kindred.
Kindred?
Yes, we have
Solely.
needs. No, I'm sure that there would be some overlap, but I also I basically lay out my plans on his.
And
Okay.
is there a way for me to kind of signal to Dorian something that I think he might be missing in this? Because I think you tried to hint at it, Coffee, but I'm not sure if either Dorian or if CJ's picking it up. Is there a way I can kind of signal to him without actually speaking?
I would say, Shriek, that would be a composure and subterfuge. And for Dorian to pick up on it would be a wit's insight versus you.
I'm gonna rouse because that is not my greatest bit. You're asking Shriek of all people to roll a composure.
Shriek does not keep his mouth shut very, very well.
3 is good. 3 is good.
3 is good. And then a wit's insight from Dorian. Which,
And would my sense motives kick in?
I would say so. Shriek has a motive to get you on the right page. Oh, okay.
3, and I could re-roll if I need to, if I'm not picking up on it.
I think you beat, so you end up catching it. It's just I'm trying. The hard part is I'm trying not to be obvious. So whether he
So,
picks up on it or not.
so, in one word, Derek, what would Shriek be trying to tell Dorian?
In one word.
Or
Bribe.
less than 3 words.
Okay. Bribe him. Or at least trying to limit my discussion here, but
Yeah, that's all you get.
He's looking.
Yeah, okay. He wants. What is he getting out of it?
You gotta buy his services. What are you offering to buy it with?
Yeah.
Think
back to your tools, man. Think back to your tools.
Yeah.
It's okay. This is the hard part about playing a character like this, and I know that you're
Yeah.
fish out of water here. I'm trying my best
Um,
not to end up hinting too hard, but
So I'm thinking Dorian would probably offer at least some of the revenue for a set amount of time from his clubs that are set up in an area that he's probably around to help back his plays to develop and do his own works.
Now, see, that would be interesting if I thought that your clubs were interesting, Mr. Resner. I don't follow those scenes, and really I could care less about the revenue that's generated from it. But these housing developments that you want me to invest in, I would want a return on my investment. So, how about... We're talking strictly in cash here, as this would be something minor to both yourself and myself. This is a nothing sandwich, whatever the kids are saying these days. So, in the terms of the numbers, I shoot these developments up in, say, half the time, maybe a quarter of the time, as things can definitely get bogged down in red tape if you really, really try hard enough. So what say you to myself getting a return on my investment, 100% plus interest, over the course of 1 year?
As I am not into this for the money, I can see that being acceptable.
So I invest 10 million. You return me 11 within a year.
And I would like to, if I can, what would a negotiation role be? Because I am
A charisma persuasion,
charisma persuasion. Okay.
because a
I
negotiation
would
is a
like to
kind
do
of
that.
persuasion.
Yeah, I would like to, like, I am not good enough to persuade this down, but into a more favorable terms, but I would love to for Dorian to do this.
I will add one to that because believe it or not, that is one of my high pools.
Um, and I will rouse for this, so, because I want a good deal.
No Derek dice, no Derek dice, no Derek dice.
And I will willpower just to make this go through even better.
Ooh, 7 successes. Well, let's just play with the numbers here. Because you would probably sense that he's using presence.
Well, I didn't even think to use presents. I gotta get better at playing a face.
It takes time.
But even with the sort of you feel it's almost if you want to make him happy. You feel almost as if that him coming to a positive agreement on this is what you're striving for. And that him getting the better part of the deal is advantageous to you. Money is no figure to you, and money is apparently no figure to him either. So, just talking business, it's as if it's nothing, like he said. That this will go well if you partner up with him. And he seems to agree with you when you two sort of back and forth on the numbers just a little bit. The money doesn't matter. What really is at play here is Dorian is very effectively negotiating. And Shriek, you would see this from Dorian. It's almost a little bit of an odd side of that same coin. Dorian's always a very straightforward man, and he's very straightforward about business ventures too. And so they come to an agreement on some numbers that are well beyond your own budget. And Thorn agrees to aid in speeding up the process for construction to begin on this particular building project, if only just to make Keller crawl just a little bit. Is that all you were really after, Mr. Resner? Is an investor?
Well, that, and as Shriek said, to learn from my elders. If there is any advice you can give in dealing with Keller.
Again, that depends on your definition of words. Some people define deal as a colloquialism to mean get rid of. Others mean day-to-day dealings and the like. So,
More of mitigation of problems.
Mitigation of problems.
I would never plot against my primogen. In the fact of trying to get rid of him, because that would be
uncouth.
Improper.
Yes.
Simply shoring up obvious shortcoming that is spoken of in the court. Yeah. I'm sure even you have heard of the doubts going on to him, and it's our responsibility as those underneath his purview to try and, well, I think you understand perfectly.
To try and solve the issue without getting him involved, of course.
And I'm led to believe that when it comes to situations like this, you've done aces. I mean, look at how well you've already done for yourself, and to speak nothing of your tailor. Honestly, if I could end up doing so, I'd probably visit them myself, but I'd rather not ruin your shop, your favorite shop.
Well, it's a shame that that your particular version of the curse manifests the way that it does, because I think the suit would look rather fitting on you.
That is something we will have to remedy.
Highest of compliments, given who it's coming from. That being said, our main concern is trying to end up maintaining the wants of our prince.
Of course.
The domain of our primogen.
Of course.
To end up doing so, and to be able to end up fostering relations that would end up not causing the Camarilla undue stress. You must understand that Dorian and my position, in that we acknowledge the powder keg we're sitting upon, and the prince doesn't want that fuse lit. But Keller's blind spots might end up prompting someone to believe that that's a good idea to fan a potential flame. Our job is to end up stopping that from being a remote possibility for the security of the domain and the princedom.
Then don't underestimate him in thinking that he would know that you would come to me.
Certainly not.
He has his own his own schemes and his own projects, but I would not call him inept.
Never would have dreamed of it.
So you would do well not to underestimate him. He might pull the rug right out from underneath your legs, and you'll never know it. Such is the weird thing about Keller and what makes him interesting as a character to watch.
But you managed to navigate those waters. How'd
I
you
have,
pull that off?
I have managed to steer clear of those waters, and thus he and I don't run in the same circles, and never have. But, well, let's just say some things never die.
Your intuition and guidance in this matter is greatly appreciated.
If at all possible, avoid him. If you can't, steer clear, steer around. Don't get involved in what he's doing.
Then allow me a point of gratitude. Tell me something I don't know.
Your Dr. Keller has a very keen interest on making sure his supply is full. His supply of blood, I should say. Rumor has it, he stockpiles for the prince himself.
On a wholly unrelated note, the rumors that happen in Detroit about the Inquisition's attempt to end up having a certain creation, certain project in mind. There's some evidence at this point to suggest that's happening here. Wholly unrelated, I'm sure.
Wholly, I'm sure. Thank you, both, for your conversation. As I must actually ask you both to leave, as I have some cleaning to do before inspection due tomorrow.
Of course. I appreciate your patience.
Hopefully we provided enough entertainment for the night. I know that I have enjoyed our time together.
I stand up and give a small bow and leave Dresner and Thorn to end up speaking alone for a moment, as I know when I'm not wanted, which is all the time.
I would give the pleasantries unless he has something additional to say.
He
But
doesn't.
I would give the pleasantries of a handshake and thanking him for his time.
And he would shake your hand in return and allow you to leave.
I'll meet Shriek outside.
Toreador. Gotta love him.
I was worried about one thing. We are going to have to get you some suits. I think you'd look good in them.
Don't. No, please. Look, between between the scepters and the roses, you guys got that on lock. Me, I'll end up sticking to the tank tops and fishnets. Far more my speed. Also ends up meaning that you currently have an in. Now, let's regale on what just happened there, just to keep you in the loop. That little piece of mine dropped in his ear should end up at least getting him enough to end up asking some questions. Also ends up getting him to the point where now he has an investment in keeping an eye on Keller. Sure, it's not going to be him doing divine intervention, but it's another set of eyes that Keller's going to be more busy here working around than actually end up dealing with anything you have to end up doing with. And given the fact that Thorn and him are on shaky ground, that only works to your benefit. I'm sure he already knows that, but he can't ignore it now. At least not the possibility. There's no there's no accusation, but it's enough to end up making him start looking. And the more Keller has to end up keeping his guard up, the more that, well, it makes your job a little easier. Speaking of which, have you managed to end up locating the tracking device that was placed in the last shipment?
I'll pull it up.
And what you
I'm sure I
find,
can pull it up on the laptop or something.
yeah, it's pretty easy given that you have money at your disposal. You can have a laptop that connects to just about anywhere. You find the sort of the GPS that that had been turned on this particular little phone has arrived at an address kind of in a in what looks like a warehouse district almost, or a warehouse specifically. It's not in any particular domain, so to speak, as it's kind of one of
It's in
those.
one of those fuzzy areas between
Yeah,
domains where people can argue who it is, much like what we ran into with Keller in the first place, right?
yeah. It's a little bit of a fuzzy area as far as its border goes, and it's kind of a warehouse just kind of plonked in the middle of everything almost. Because there's not really a big industrial complex or district around it, really. There's just a warehouse in the midst of maybe the suburbs.
Well, it looks like I have my work cut out for me tonight. I'll get you a report as soon as I can.
Do you want me close by for some backup, or are you
No,
okay?
no. What I need you to end up doing at this point is start focusing on leveraging your new asset. You need to end up starting to look into clubs, start into building hype, do what you do. After all, it's in your nature to rule over everything, so by all means, have fun with your new sandbox. I don't want you tied into it any more than you have to be, because you need to end up keeping up you need to keep up appearances. It's that sense of legitimacy that's going to end up getting you anywhere here. You need to develop it. We're working on that. My job is to end up being able to handle the stuff that you're not supposed to. And the reason you're not supposed to is because you need to end up looking as objective as possible. That you are the spitting image of what it is to be a blue blood in this domain. Dealt with enough of your kind to end up getting the gist of it. So you let me handle that stuff. You end up handling the front and try and end up giving us a sense of perceived legitimacy. Because you know full well as I do, the guy in the pickup truck ain't doing it, and the other one is too busy stuck in her books to end up doing so entirely. All right? When it comes to the kind nonsense, that's what you're going to be here for. And when it comes to presenting in court, that's how you end up doing it. Our job is to back you up and end up keeping. You're supposed to support us in that regard. Money, logistics, influence. That's where we need you. You have the gifts to do it. You have the insight to do it. You might be a little raw, but you're going to do it. My job is to orchestrate the whole events. Consider me the power behind the throne. And while that ends up happening, you end up getting the opportunity to end up flying the high road, live up the dream. Go ahead. Drink it in. Me? I get to do what I do best. Toodles, darling.
Thank you, Shriek.
All right. Well, while that's going on with Shriek and Dorian, Alex and Aaron are off to go and see Balthazar. Balthazar can normally be found at either a library or at the chantry, and depending on the night, can visit both. So,
Alex is going to direct Aaron towards the library because there's no way in hell she is taking a La Sombra to the chantry.
no. Especially because there are lots of things that could potentially go wrong given what you know about Mr. Winters. So, absolutely not. So, you waltz into a library. A library that's usually closed, but Balthazar knows of a bit of a sneaky way to get in. You also sneak your way in through this method and can find him perusing a number of books. He has a small stack next to him that he's just leaning in a chair, sort of reading. Kind of more flipping through the pages, not really reading for very long on a single page.
Find anything interesting?
No, just cataloging.
Interesting. Well, perhaps I can liven up your evening. She puts down the piece of paper with her good hand that she had sketched out the sigil on.
He looks up from his book for a moment, and when he sees the paper that you've set down, he kind of leans over and picks it up. Huh. These are symbols you copied from somewhere.
She holds up her hand, the one that's burnt to a crisp, and wiggles her crunchy fingers around.
Got it.
I was wondering if you could perhaps give me a little bit of insight.
His eyes immediately kind of look over to Aaron and then back to Alex and then back to Aaron and back to Alex.
Aaron is like face deep in Bernstein Bear book that he found in the kids section. You can see he's got this frustrated look on his face and he's mumbling to himself, Bernstein or Bernstein? Bernstein or Bernstein? I feel like I've just been hoodwinked. But then he sees everyone just kind of like eyeing him. He looks up. Sets it down. Meanders over. Nice to meet you.
Hello, Balthazar.
This is this is Aaron Winters.
Aaron
He's a new
Winters.
friend of our coterie.
I see. Interesting. Where'd you come across him?
Elysium.
Right. Yeah.
He's one of the new blood.
That's right. Was I there?
Yes, you were.
Nights just seem to run together these days. It's nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that it wasn't a very notable experience.
Aaron takes off his hat. As Miss Alexandra said, name's Aaron Winters. Sire is Vincent Roderick, Clan La Sombra.
Ah, so you're Roderick's kid.
Yes, sir.
Oh, well. He's a great deal more pleasant than some other La Sombra. Well, again, where did you find this?
Unfortunately, I am not at liberty to share that.
Then I have very little way that I could help.
But
But
I was hoping you might know a little bit more about the sigil itself. It is, as far as I can tell, from some kind of human mage. Some kind of ward against kindred.
makes sense given what it's done to your hand. That based on the sigils itself, it definitely has that sort of property to it, yes. As far as why, I mean, a ward against kindred could be for a number of different reasons. It could,
It's over a locked door. A locked door that we can't really seem to open without touch.
Aha.
Meaning there's something of interest behind it that I want to get to.
Means
But in order to get to it, I need to break whatever magic is holding this sigil in place.
Dispelling a mage's spell is no easy task.
As I have discovered.
Even dispelling something as simple as an eternal flame, for instance, like we have in the chantry, doesn't come easily to Tremere. Our sorcery is rather limited in what it can... I wouldn't say limited in what it can do, but limited to how it operates. And I, personally, would not know how to dispel such a thing. Malleus might.
So I'd have to get in contact.
Not necessarily.
No?
Not necessarily. As... Well, being on the other side of the world, might actually be in torpor at the moment. At this very moment.
Oh, well, yes.
But contacting him through other means, such as a phone call wouldn't work, but a spell might. I'm trying to think of who would know that spell, though.
Oh, I was just thinking of sending him a letter through that wonderful little thing you showed me the other week.
Ah. Well, if you're willing to wait a couple of days for a response, I'm sure that would be perfectly fine, but if you want it answered today...
The sooner the better. I'm not exactly the most patient person in the world.
Let me look into the specifics. I should have an answer for you in a couple of hours.
Thank you, Balthazar. What do I owe you for this?
For getting you in contact immediately with the person that sent you to America in the first place. Well, it depends on how much I'm going to have to fork over to ask the appropriate person who knows the spell to connect you with Malleus. But anything for the girl I more or less considered my adopted daughter. But should you have any desire to spend time at the Chantry, it could never hurt.
I always have desire to spend time at the Chantry. It's a matter of making time.
Of course. You love your puzzles, and I know how important this has to be to you.
Well, I figure if I can figure out the ins and outs of the spell too, it could be of some use to our kin. I mean, simply coming into contact with it did this.
You're not wrong. I very much have a similar urge to want to see it for myself.
If I might interject, it might be possible to bring it to you. The spell.
You said it was in a wall.
Doorway, so to speak.
Locked door.
You'd be running a dangerous operation trying to cut through a ward that you don't know the perimeter of, and therefore could risk more injury to yourselves.
It's a fair assessment.
Otherwise, you would have chainsawed your way through the door already. Am I correct?
I wasn't exactly strong enough to open it. Or I would have.
Well, no use not experimenting a bit. Good way to find out where the perimeter is.
If it
can't bring it to you. Go ahead.
If it's doing this kind of damage to you, Mr. Winters and Alex, it could potentially end your existence.
I touched it twice.
Why would you do that? Knowing how it affected you the first time.
Yeah, she's a wild card, ain't she?
There was a chance that we could have gotten it open, but it didn't. So, this is a slightly healed version of the damage that I did have.
And
the entire arm was useless. The entire arm was practically useless with the damage that had been done.
Alex, you know that if something were to happen to you, Malleus would come across the Pacific Ocean himself to decapitate me. You know that, right?
Just why she ain't touching it. I will be, sir. I'm willing to take that risk, fair and simple, and if nothing else, I know something that might be of interest to you. I know my kind can do things that your kind don't. Something got to do with the void and all that.
That's fairly typical of us, La Sombra, yes.
If it ends up being something pretty big that they're asking for, I get a hold of one of them little magic spells from our kind for you. You can pass it along. How's that for a trade?
A La Sombra ceremony. A very well guarded secret, Mr. Winters.
To who? As far as I know, it's currency.
All right. I think that would be enough to pay for anything that I would do for my little Alex.
Let's hope we can get that damn door off its hinges, because, nothing else. I think that'd be pretty good to learn, don't you think? He looks to Alex about that.
Well, you've certainly caught my attention.
Well, it's settled then. I go and speak with the regent to get in contact directly with Malaeus. Should only take a couple of hours. And Mr. Winters, you bring me a La Sombra ceremony.
Sir, yes, sir.
Be interested to know who you got it from, too.
I'd be interested, too.
Well, until that particular debt is paid, you will owe me a boon.
Consider it done. And Aaron will put out his hands, prepared for a shake.
Balthasar will shake it eagerly.
And the deed is made.
Well, I'm going to get right to that. See you later. Alex, meet me at the usual spot and we'll get you in contact.
Of course.
Definitely made for an interesting night. He goes and just leaves the books where he had stacked them and exits out of the library.
The librarian is going to be very confused come morning when there's a sudden stack of books.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I bet they'll be even more confused if they find out the light fixtures don't work. Let's get going.
Yes, let's. A La Sombra ceremony? Really?
Vince talked about it. There's a couple around dead that know some of this stuff. It's always been an avenue, I guess you could say. Just not one I've necessarily patrolled.
Why not?
I ain't smart. That's as simple as it is. I'm a gun. And I prefer that. Figuring out all that hoodoo voodoo bullshit ain't really in my nature, you know?
Fair enough. It is an interesting little thing, though. You are surrounded by interesting little things, Mr. Winter.
Yes. At this point, I'm just wondering, is it a lucky lottery? Did I get the whole pot, or am I losing out here?
As far as I'm concerned, you've won the lottery.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm digging a deeper hole.
All right, so I guess we had better, or you had better, organize this payment.
I'll do that. Get in touch with Vince. And I'll talk to Pearl while I'm at it.
Pearl?
That's his, accountant.
I see. Well then, I guess I shall... If you could drop me off at the shop, I would appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure my staff are wondering where I've been for the last few nights.
Get right on that. And Erin will go ahead and take her on her way. He does mention one thing, though. I'm thinking I still am going to try and now crowbar that thing open.
Oh, well, if you're going to do that, let's go there.
Oh,
I've got to see this.
all right. Here's hoping I don't become gimped up like you.
Oh, it's definitely a possibility.
Oh, indeed it is. So heading back over to the Haven then?
Yes.
All right. Which... What is that?
Gotta find it.
I forgot which one it was.
It's a church.
That...
How many churches do you have?
I don't... Oh, wait.
Few.
I know which one I did. Okay, here we go.
Dope.
Dope. All right. So Aaron and Alex are headed back to the basement of the church. Basement of the church that has been a bit of a nuisance. So, how do you suppose that you're going to tackle this?
Aaron pulls out a crowbar, obviously, from the truck, the duffel bag in the truck. And he also takes a mallet. He looks to Alex and he's just like, crowbar is actually for the truck, for fixing it. The mallet isn't.
Okay.
And last thing he pulls out. Actually, no, that'll do. He goes downstairs into the basement. No
Alex
lights.
will follow behind.
No lights to be had. He's gonna look through the darkness. You can see he's having a hard time seeing. He doesn't have like any sort of dark vision or aid to see, so he puts on a flashlight, turns on a little industrial flashlight, one of those yellow ones, up on top of like a crate that's just down there. Tries to get a visual on the sigil. Checks out the wall around it. And traces out, without touching it, traces out a where the crease is of the door frame. He's gonna take the crowbar, and with the absolute force of God that he has in him, he's gonna shove it in.
Okay. So into
And I mean,
the
Truth did hit that switch before too.
And so you're talking about the frame on the outside of the sort of door, right?
Yes.
Trying to knock that off.
More specifically, he's shoving the crowbar in between so that he can actually get some leverage.
Okay.
And then he's going to take the mallet and literally just smack it open.
Okay. Give me a strength athletics.
Oh, why don't I have any? I'm gonna rouse the blood.
Okay.
That sounds appropriate. Get me 2 dice on that, please and thank you. Thank God. Strength, athletics, and 2 dice. And willpower reroll. 2 with those. Because I feel like I need a better roll to get this thing open. That's the best I could have hoped for. 5 successes.
You do your best to wedge the crowbar, the tip of the crowbar, into the crevice between the frame and the wall. That crevice is very tight, and so when you try and get the crowbar in there, it doesn't get in there very well, but you try and lift to pry it anyway. Doesn't budge. You lift to pry it again. It doesn't budge. It doesn't even seem to go deeper into that little crevice in order to get the leverage that you need to pry it off.
Son of a goddamn... Get in there! What do I need to do?
That is to succeed at a cost.
All right. What you thinking?
Aaron will muster the kind of strength that it would take to essentially break the seal on a magic spell if he is willing to take 3 points of aggravated health damage.
Bet. Slamming it.
Okay.
I will make a note that Alex is standing back towards the stairs. She's not in on this.
I'm willing to take that because guess who has helped up the wazoo to do this? What's in the box? Okay. Send it.
So, Aaron, you're swearing. You're swearing up and down. You're trying to get this kind of leverage to go. You're wishing to high heavens, and you're swearing on all that your name means to try and pry this thing open. And it slips into the crevice. You have purchase. You lift on the crowbar. And you lift with all of your strength. And it pops. But not before going off in a flash of fire.
He just kaboom, boosh, onto the other wall.
Alex?
Yes.
He has taken damage and has portions of him still on fire.
Shit.
Fuck. Ah, he just like rips off his coat and it's like,
Stop, drop, and roll! Stop, drop, and roll!
Aaron?
down on the ground, rolling.
Aaron, you are currently partially on fire. I need you to make me a fear frenzy.
Oh, I don't have that much willpower right now, dude.
Alex, you can see this fire going off on Aaron. You're needing a fear frenzy, but your difficulty is lower.
Good lordy.
We're doing good.
I have not had to roll this often. I guess I will.
I think I'm running. I think I'm dashing.
You're dashing into whatever and whatever could try and put you out. You have no control over yourself. You're trying to thrash about to try and put yourself out, but it might take a minute.
Just Alex.
Ooh, but Alex
I basically like
cool as a cucumber.
I run I
Straight
bust
for Alex, yeah.
past you, like straight up the stairs, just screaming bloody murder. Ah! My face is just melting off. I head straight towards like this tub of water that's supposed to be like carrying, trying to contain any sort of drops that have been coming down from any rainfall or gutters or anything like that, and just like dive bomb into it, rolling around onto the carpentry or literally anything.
It's all instinctual. He is trying to want to run away from a fire that's on his face. And
how do I fix this?
And Alex, thankfully, is 8 successes and a cool cucumber.
Help.
Alex, there is
Get a water bottle.
Plenty of water buckets. There's plenty of water around that has come from leaks and things like that. So you are able to grab one of these things and put him out. Did she step away? I think she stepped away.
My cat.
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 Hello?
I see you now. Yes,
yeah, my cat knocked out my thing.
Oh, no.
So yes, she is definitely going to grab a bucket and just dump it over his head.
He's flailing on the ground, just like absolute madness going on over here, just turning it to and as soon as the water he just stops and he's just like this crispy long bean on the ground.
Crispy linguine.
And after about a minute of just lying there for a moment, you have your faculties back, Karen. But you are severely injured.
Well, that sucked.
Okay. You are still alive. Miracle of miracles.
How's the jacket?
How is the jacket?
It's smoldering.
It's not still intact.
It's not on fire, but there is still a little bit of smoldering smoke coming up from it.
She's gonna dump another bucket of water. I'm assuming there's another one laying around.
Oh yeah,
because there's leaks all over the place. She's just gonna dump a bucket of water over the jacket too, to just be certain it's not gonna catch.
Thanks.
Aaron, the whole front side of your body is just mangled.
You can see just like all of his gums showing, his teeth, his fangs extended. You can see up into his nostrils, just
front side of his face is completely charred and gone. Same with the front side of his chest. Same with the sides of his arms. Same with the front of his legs.
Like eyelids are burned off, and he looks like Skeletor, like the red skull or some shit.
Only half of him remains, and thankfully, it's the good half.
Now, having seen that reaction from the ward being forced open, is there any kind of knowledge that I can draw from that?
It's definitely very explosive.
That tells me personally that was a particularly strong ward, and now I want to know more about it.
Well, you'll have to see what bits of it are left, just to see if there's anything to study left.
Okay, well, she's going to go down and she's just going to leave Aaron there in his crispy toastiness.
When you
And you just, as soon as you go down the stairs, you just hear it.
The crunching.
Just like happy little steps behind you, but it.
guys are so weird.
Aaron is a man of action.
He is. He is.
No matter how appropriate or inappropriate. He's got to know.
You gotta know. Yep. Well, both of you, Alexandra in her mostly whole self, and Aaron in his crinkly wrapping paper self, you go back down the stairs. And what you find is that there is a lot of charm mark when it comes to the explosion area, the point at which the explosion came from. And when you look about, looking for the bits and pieces of the frame that remain that may have contained this spell, they're charred. And you know that the inscription that you saw wasn't very deep into the wood at all. So, being able to dust it off to successfully being able to find the intact inscription is maybe going to take a little bit of work. But you find the pieces of it shattered, as one would expect. In fact, if it wasn't for the fact that Aaron had gone up in a bit of flame, you might think that he had some splinters left in him. But thankfully, no splinters. Don't need a toothpick to the heart to cause you to go paralyzed. But the frame is gone. And the door, the little wooden sort of panel that served as a door, is loose. It's not being held into place by anything anymore. It is just kind of sitting there, looking as if it was unfazed.
She's going to gather up those pieces of that frame that she can and kind of set them aside later for study. And she's going to pick up the crowbar.
Yeah.
She's going to pick up the crowbar and she's going to gently open the door using the crowbar, because she doesn't know if she touches the door, if there is another spell on top of another spell, it could still be active. So she's just going to gently push it out of the way. And I would like to make use of my Auspex just to give a look over with Sense the Unseen.
There is nothing left to see with Sense the Unseen. And the sort of panel that was kind of propped up against the wall just kind of very easily goes splat. Falls over. What you see beyond it is pitch dark, except for maybe whatever lighting you're using in this particular area right now. So, grabbing the flashlight and looking down into this more or less sort of 2 foot by 2 foot cubby, what you see is what probably would have been the shell of a safe. But there's no combination door on it. It is just a lead box with an open front. And inside are tomes. Inside are loose leaves of paper. Inside are journals. stacked very tightly into this space.
She is going to very gently and carefully start removing these pages and journals very gently, trying to make sure that they don't fall apart.
Some of them are very brittle. Some of them seem very old. Some of them are simply taped together and put back into like a plastic sheet protector because only pieces have been found of it at once. And this was here the whole time, Aaron.
What is it?
Knowledge. That's what this is. Knowledge. Some of it very, very old. And it needs to be handled with the utmost care. You know how in museums, how they handle pages, like old pages with gloves? I should be wearing gloves for some of this.
All right. Well, maybe I can go find another box we can put them in. Can take a gander at them.
I think that would be a good idea.
I'm okay. I just need to get the front healed up. It's all the exposed bits, you know. I also lost my voice box. Don't worry about it. I mean, Aaron's gonna go try and find like a light protective container.
Alex, how much fishing through this stuff do you do?
She's just going to remove it all for now.
Okay.
Just to kind of get it out of the space because it is quite tightly packed in. But as she does, she's going to take a really quick cursory glance through it all.
There's a lot of different handwriting that you notice about amongst a lot of the papers, a lot of the parchment, a lot of the tomes. A lot of it seems to be written on materials and with materials that would last the test of time. Meant to be found one day, to be read by another person one day. One particular such piece you do find is a note written to Aaron. As it says, "Dear Aaron" at the top.
I'm going to take a quick look at that.
You read it over. It's a letter from his granddad. Stating how much he appreciates that Aaron has taken after his father in the family business. That this was his granddad's life's work. Collecting all of this so that Aaron could use that knowledge to eradicate the scourge on this earth. Kind of goes into a little bit of a documentation of what to expect in the pile, such as documents from hunters of old, including from other Winters, from other members of the Winters family, notable sort of figures in the monster hunters sort of societies that have happened around the world, going back so far as the medieval era. the First Inquisition.
This is incredible.
And that
Slowly but surely, she's going to start, as she's got this letter in hand, she's going to start like leafing through it all.
And the letter seems to be correct about the collection. So far as you can tell, some of this is old. Very old. You have seen in museums parchment and tablets left behind from medieval era that have been nothing more than pieces with scribbling on it.
This is not just old, this is incredibly valuable. Not only to time, but kindred.
This collection, according to the letter, has been amassed by the family and passed down for generations. Always adding more pieces.
And
as they find them.
now, it's in our hand. The one place they would never want to be. Aaron!
On cue, you hear the... as he returns. He has a pretty decent box that he's been able to find something that is light protective, will be able to hold against any of the elements. It's more like a toolbox, if anything. He sets it down. Opens it. There we go.
Alex is holding the letter up as he walks in. It's addressed to you.
He rereads it. Holy fuck. What is it?
I cannot begin to express to you the sheer value of what's here.
It's a family, guess it counts. Something like that. Huh. He kneels down and looks at some of the pages. Kind of reads a little bit of the Old English, not quite comprehending it, except for a few select things. Yeah, this is the whole Winters family lineage right here. All of our records. All the hunting we did.
I would like to take this collection and go through it. Clearly, your family has had some connection to mages to begin with because of that spell. Something else. But this information, what could be learned from this? This dates back to the very first Inquisition, back to the medieval era, Aaron. And it's comprehensive. I want to take this and study it thoroughly. All of it.
Well, on one condition. Give me a little garage out in the back. Something like that near your shop. I want to study it too.
Of course.
Consider it a deal. Share the prize.
This is one hell of a...
Get what you can from it. 'Cause I'm starting to think maybe I'm gonna have to figure out a good place to put it. It's a little bit on the safer side. Either somewhere else buried just as deep, or gone
If I
completely.
can... I have a question, Coffee. Is there, in amongst all of this, just from a cursory glance, is there any explanation for that spell that was used on that door in amongst these notes?
Intelligence investigation.
Can I help? Because I have investigation.
Yes.
Like three dots. Cool. I'm helping. I'm useful. Despite being a drogger right now.
God damn it.
I would like to willpower that.
Okay. Or you can succeed at a cost.
I want to willpower it. Reroll those 3 dice.
3.
At a cursory glance, no.
While I can't see anything in here, by looking over it right now, concerning that spell, I'm willing to bet there is knowledge in here concerning the man that was used. If I can figure that out, if I can break down that spell, maybe we can relock it back in that section. But in such a way that it can be resealed and then unsealed when needed. If I can figure that out, we might just be able to keep it here. How would you feel about that?
I feel like that'd be ideal.
But in case, we should figure something else out as a backup. Or even temporary.
You're Tremere, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Chantry got any hidey holes?
The Chantry is a hidey hole.
Does it got hidey holes from other Tremere?
No. If it goes in the Chantry, the entire clan knows.
Guess I'm making a call to Mr. Resner. See if I can convince him to give us a little exchange there. Security bank and all that.
You said Resna.
I can't call him.
Oh, I can call Dorian.
Great. I don't imagine we need to give him specifics. Just tell him we need to get him a hole built.
safe space. What about Singleton?
He'd have access to all that too.
Not if we're using storage space in his facility. Not necessarily. Just need to rent the space from him. Not necessarily tell him exactly what's being stored there.
You don't think he raffles through it at all?
I don't know. Coffee, does Singleton seem like the type to do that?
That would be an intelligence insight. Cat was being nosy and smelly. Based off of what you know about him, maybe with a little bit of extra incentive, he could be convinced to keep out.
If enough incentive is given to him, he could certainly be convinced to leave well enough alone.
How about this? I already got some traps and whatnot laid up here. As far as anyone knows, this place don't exist. Most folks don't want to come out to a disheveled, defunct little church the city's supposed to be getting rid of sooner than later.
Keeping it him might be for the best.
Put in some extra work and make it so it don't smell like mildew around here. Give you a decent working environment. You can consider the basement yours and I'll keep sleeping in the walls upstairs.
I think that sounds fantastic.
And I think that is a good place for us to take a quick break. Welcome in, Raiders. We will be back in just a few moments with more Blood and Iron, Dead Man's Hand. So, be back soon, everyone. But that does bring up the fact that healing such damage is going to be costly, Aaron. And such costs are at a premium in your domain right now. Finding someone to feed upon is hard enough as it is. So, Alex and Aaron, what do you do?
Alex is going to leave Aaron in the basement. She's going to make her way upstairs, away from the one being that can, or one type of being that can very much block off logical information. She's going to step outside and she's going to make a phone call to one Dorian Resnick.
Which, at the same time that you would be calling Dorian Resner, you're getting a message from Balthazar stating that he has made the arrangements.
Perfect.
Not that you need help opening the dang thing anymore.
Yes. Well, it'll still be very handy to learn skill that it takes to break a spell like that. Even still, she's going to call Dorian first.
All right. Dorian, you're getting a phone call.
Dorian would pick up. Hello.
Good evening, Mr. Resner.
And how are you doing this fine evening?
A lot better than our friend.
Oh,
Yes. Actually, I would like to discuss a storage space. I was hoping you could organize.
oh. Dimensions and how secure do you want it?
About 2 foot by 2 foot and as secure and bug proof as possible.
I have a place that I can keep it.
Well, we already have a space to keep it. But it just needs to be secure enough to lock into said space. Say a safe of some sort.
Coffee, would I have the free liquid assets to do a safe? Or am I am I tied up with everything else?
Finding a safe with the implied security that she wants, you can imply that she wants something rudimentary and basic, which is something that could be picked up relatively easily. But if she wants something more secure than that, it might take a little time to procure, but not outside your monetary means.
I can have something basic within the night or something stronger within a day or two.
Either or works. We just have something valuable to store. And I do believe it would be in the best interest of yourself and our lovely compatriot to pop back over to the church whenever you can.
Okay. I can pick that up and meet you over there as soon as you need me.
As soon as possible would be delightful.
I will be on my way.
You definitely get the sense that she's trying not to say too much.
Yeah,
She does
and
sound very excited.
Dorian would get in his SUV, make a quick stop by. I'm assuming they have some kind of Walmart equivalent in Canada. Oh no, wait, wrong game.
Nope, you're in
I'm
Dallas.
I'm in Dallas. We definitely got. Sorry, I looked at Derek and literally almost went into his game mode for a second, thinking that I was in Canada. Sorry, I am very tired. So we definitely have Wally World in Texas. I would stop by and get a rudimentary floor safe that can be bolted down relatively easily.
Okay. Yep. Not terribly hard to find in a super Walmart. So you pick up something about the size that they need, and a couple $100 later, you have a safe. And easily enough to pick up and take to the meeting place, the church in which Aaron finds rest, typically. So, Dorian, you arrive with said safe in hand.
I would walk up to the door and give it a knock.
Alex would answer it, and she is grinning from ear to ear. I would say the entire time between making that call and Dorian arriving, she has been going through as much of this stuff as she can. It's probably not a lot, to be honest, that she's gone through.
My, don't you seem happy?
Oh, I am ecstatic.
Might I come in?
Please come down to the basement. Please. Please.
That's usually not the offer I get, but we can do this. And he'll come in and he'll carry the safe down the stairs.
Nah, Dorian, when you get down there, you see this charred corpse stationed just on like the mattress that is usually placed on the floor. And he gets up.
Oh dear lord, what in the hell is that?
And he just starts doing the
Dorian would
zombie
actually
thing towards
draw
you.
a pistol that you did not know he
He
had
stops.
on him.
He stops. Chill, man. Chill. It's me, Winters.
Mr. Winters? What in
Yeah.
what happened to you?
I look about as good as you now, don't I? Had to step up
I'm
my
at a
game.
loss for words.
Alex is gonna slip past Mr. Resner, and she's going to gesture to the now gaping hole in the wall. Mr.
Oh.
Winters decided to brute force it.
Oh, okay, that explains.
There are char marks like an explosion.
You could say the door decided to brute force back.
He smells of smoke.
Honestly, you look like something you'd find when you're cleaning a grill. I don't know what that.
Does it at least smell good?
Has the hair standing on the back of your neck?
Like burnt pork and hair. That's what it smells like.
Aaron gives you this big sarcastic smile with like the little tiny piece of lip that he still has left. There's barely an expression to be had because all you see is just muscles.
Yeah, I'm going to leave that alone. I brought your safe. Where would you like it?
Off to the side, out of.
It is the bolt down kind, so find something to secure it to bolt it down to.
The floor work?
If you have the masonry bits, I'm sure you could do that. Mr. Winters? Okay. But I will leave that to you. What, you both look like hell, to be honest.
It could be worse. It could have been a lot worse.
But damn, could he?
I'm glad it is not.
I don't know what y'all talking about. I feel right as rain.
Aaron, you feel vulnerable.
He feels exposed.
Very.
Humor is his coping mechanism.
Parts of him are exposed right now.
Mr. Resner, I'm sure you can attest that there's potentially more than just a safe reason why we needed you here. And it's another safe reason. Safety.
What can I do?
I need to not look like. And I need a little help getting a hold of some folks for that.
Okay. I guess I'm providing takeout for the night.
Make it worth your while. Trust us. We'll make it worth your while.
Alex, can I trust that you can get him to my place without being seen?
Yes?
Then I will be there within an hour or so. Maybe an hour and a half. It should be about closing time. Last call. It shouldn't be too hard to drum up some eager people that want to keep the party going. See what I can do. And, unless you need something else from him, Dorian will just give a nod and start heading back up the stairs.
And with that, Dorian heads back up the stairs, getting into what you assume is a luxury vehicle to go and carouse around the domain to see if he can drum up interest in a house party.
I'm going to put all that stuff into the safe that's there.
Mm-hmm.
Set up the code and whatnot and lock it. I'm going to drop you off at Mr. Resnick, Aaron. And then I'm going to go and meet with Balthazar. Does this sound like a plan?
Sounds great. Oh, goody, I ain't ever been invited to a party before.
We're going to, have you got something with a hood? Or something you can use to cover yourself? Maybe we'll just wrap you up in a tarp and throw you in the back seat.
If you take my truck, you can take it for the night. It's got a pretty decent bed and a tarp over the back you can throw. I don't mind slipping sliding on the back of that.
Okay. That works.
You do have a fresh set of clothes in your own haven, of course.
Yeah, well, yeah, I assume he's already changed into that. It was just,
It's the face. It's the face.
Yeah, there was a degree he had to, like, he probably had, like, a button up and he had to open it because he was committed to the zombie bit. At this point, he's probably already buttoned it up.
It's fine. All right. So, dropping off Aaron at the appropriate spot, Alex is going to meet up with Balthazar. Was there anything in particular you wanted to say or do?
Just maybe don't do the zombie bit while you're trying to feed.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna be keeping to the shadows.
Good idea. You're cute, but not like this.
Aw. Well, I'm not exactly too particular. Ouch. Oh, hell, I'm just getting in the truck.
All right. Aaron is dropped off. And Alex is meeting with Balthazar.
Yes.
Okay. Was there anything that you wanted to do with Balthazar during this moment?
It was just because he sent the message that he organized it.
Yes, because he
Yeah.
organized with the regent for you to get in contact with Malleus.
And that's what that's about. That's why she's meeting up with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you could go to the chantry with him. And all of that's kind of been set up in the room, and the regent. You remember who he was?
Yes, the regent who was very, very wary of me.
Yes, Father Edwards. The chantry kind of has this sort of overarching theme of a biblical church in some ways. The very gothic sort of architecture. The sort of there's statues and just mountains and mountains of books just stacked into bookcases, far as the eye can see, really. And so it's always really a sight to see when you're there. And
It feels like home.
yeah, it feels like home. Very much in the same way that library that Balthazar always visits, and you always find him at, strangely enough, also kind of feels like home. But you are there with Balthazar and with Father Edwards. And Father Edwards kind of has you lying down on one of the couches in his office. And now I need to kind of read up on this blood surgery thing because I didn't have time to do it. So give me a second.
I mean, we could leave this for a little bit and just focus on the others.
No, you insisted. I wouldn't have time otherwise anyway, so give me a sec. There it is. Just making sure he can do that. Okay. Okay. I don't think that there is any... Okay. Yep. So he kind of puts a few ingredients together in with some vitae and begins to mutter something, almost seeming like a prayer in some ways. And before you know it, your vision just kind of blurs for a moment. And you feel like you're traveling through the earth to some respects, and that in this blur you find your grandsire, Malleus, in front of you, looking as he always has. Just kind of looking somewhat stoic, as he always does. Well, this is a surprise.
How are you, Malleus?
Decent.
Decent.
Decent. Things are decent. What about for yourself?
Busy. Incredibly busy. Did you get my letter by chance?
Yes. Yes, I did. And it was very, very pleasant to read that you are making interesting strides for yourself.
Well, we've been dropped down from the primogen position. After all, it was only temporary. But I've made a recent discovery.
Oh? I suppose that's more the reason that you had Gregory Edwards link the two of us.
Yes. I was hoping you might be able to help me with the breaking of a mage's spell.
Curious. Mages are few and far between. I imagine their spells are even fewer.
Exactly. Quite a miraculous find. It's incredibly powerful.
Well, we don't have a whole lot of time, so cut to the chase.
She would kind of draw out the symbol, the sigil that was on the door for him to see. Using her finger and whatever the hell is available.
I mean, it's basically it just seems like a black blurry void around you. There's not a whole lot to write on, per se.
She kind of gives him a decent idea of the sigil, and she says, from what I can make out, it was done by a human mage. Some kind of blockade against our kind. Touching it causes violent, fiery reaction in our bodies.
Wards against kindred tend to do that.
They do. So how would I break such a ward?
Such a ward, even amongst blood sorcerers, is very powerful. Takes a lot of skill, a lot of training, and a lot of dedication to even be able to conjure such magics.
Yeah.
So, for a blood sorcerer, it comes with time. With a mage, well, their magic is far more innate. It's tricky workings, but the concept is the same. You imagine the creature in which you want to ward against. You say the specific arcane words to how your magic manifests and draw the sigils that would best represent that, and your will becomes manifest. So undoing that would require unraveling the kind of manifestation that it is. And studying such dangerous magics can have very long-lasting, and he looks at you, at your mangled arms, effects. So, who was it that drew this sigil?
I'm not entirely sure. Although I have reason to believe that it was a hunter.
Mages amongst hunters. Huh. If they have recruited such a powerful person amongst their ranks?
The space that it was in is reasonably old. Seems to have been abandoned for some time.
Then it's entirely possible that the caster is long dead.
Exactly.
Which does make unraveling it rather tricky. It can be done, but often taking great lengths of time, since you have no frame of reference.
I see. So knowing who it was is a key part of unraveling it.
Well, just as your gifts manifest different from Balthazar, which manifest different from Gregory, which manifests different from me. Even the words that you speak to create what you create is very different. Each Tremere is unique, just as each mage is unique, or even Tremere himself was a unique individual. His childer were not the same as him. Though they shared blood, that is the only common factor.
If the spell is made manifest via the will, could I take knowing that the sigil is there to protect something and unravel it by reversing it?
Reversing the direction?
Maybe not reversing the direction, but the will. So instead of protecting, it's releasing.
It is a hypothesis.
Would something like that work, do you think?
Theoretically. Though I don't have a lot of practice in doing so. Even at my age.
Perhaps it's something that I should try. Do you think it would be possible to reform the spell by learning how to undo it and then do it back up?
Most things can be reverse engineered. Magic. It remains to be seen. Even millennia later.
So just because it hasn't been done yet doesn't mean that it can't. That's what you're telling me.
If you are willing to spend an unlifetime to the study of it, yes.
Certainly something to be considered.
Certainly. But rarely does anyone have an entire lifespan of thousands of years to dedicate themselves to such endeavors. Most find it to be a tedious and unfruitful sort of endeavor.
And yet, Malayas, I seek to bring back those lost pieces of knowledge.
That is true. You have always been the hard-headed one, and you have never let a puzzle go unsolved.
And this is not one that I shall let escape me. Not even for a moment.
Well, I wish you luck. You have the ward or object in your vicinity, and whereas there's not a whole lot of that going on here in Brisbane at the moment. So do report back with your findings. I would be curious to find out.
Oh, absolutely. If I figure out how to reverse engineer this spell, it could be revolutionary for our kin. Who knows? It's strong enough that perhaps if we can use it as a basis for other wards, it could increase our own power.
Well, wards against kindred do already exist, and they can be passed down from sire to child. It's just a matter of knowing who knows it. And if they're willing to teach you.
That's always the question.
When you're at the appropriate apprentice level, of course.
Of course. Thank you for this, Malaya. It's been far too long.
Well, one day you'll be returning home, and I look forward to that day.
I'm sure I will have many tales.
I'm sure you will. Do keep me apprised with your letters.
Of course. As always, Regent.
Alexandra. And with that, he just kind of poofs into a bit of smoke that gets absorbed by that blurry void that's around you, and you're suddenly sucked back into your own head. And Father Edwards speaks to you. Are you all right?
Yes. That was an enlightening conversation.
Fantastic. How is Malleus?
He's good.
Good.
Very good.
Anything that he was willing to share so that you could bring it back?
He gave me a bit of insight. Perhaps I can reverse engineer this spell. If I can, well, it will certainly be a boon for our class.
You are a very remarkably intelligent woman. I'm sure it would be of everyone's interest that our smartest minds be applied to this. Would you do such research at the Chantry?
Of course.
Then you will have the aid of all those available.
She would hand him the sigil that she had found. And the broken fragments of the door.
And he gives you a nod and carefully starts to carry the remnants out of the room towards another space that you would know to be more of like a research lab.
Kind of looks down at her own hand, and she's feeling very fulfilled now. She's not going to give them everything, of course. The door fragments and the sigil itself is only a part of the puzzle. She has more laying in the wings that she can't and will not be sharing with this chantry. Not yet. They don't have full trust of her. She doesn't have full trust of them either. Not yet.
All right. Well, the others of you, now that Alex is free to go about attending this sort of cobbled together house party that Dorian is putting together, Dorian, I'm going to consider this you doing a hunting roll on behalf of Alex and Aaron. They do not have the chance to assist. So, you, for them, are going to make me a charisma persuasion as the collected... You are collecting the individuals who would be interested in a house party.
Would all kick in?
You can use awe. You are more
And
than
would my
welcome.
seduction kick in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You're using every method at your availability to be able to...
You know what, Ed? We'll blood surge just to make sure that we bring them home.
All right. Let's see what Dorian Resner could do when he's souped up. Whew! Whew! Whew, that's 8 successes, my guy.
And just to drive it on home, I think I might willpower reroll 1.
Only one? Because you've got several failures in there that you could re-roll.
I'm saying I meant to say spend a willpower to reroll 3.
Okay. Increases that by 1, so you got 9 successes, my guy, on a crit. You...
Party over here.
Somehow, in the course of an hour, have hit up all of the late night taverns in the Arlington area, few as they may be, for the stragglers who are just kind of hanging on, wishing they can go back into the bar because after the last call and the final hours of opening are finally shut down. You roll up in what looks to be a limousine. And you, with the sort of suave sensibilities in your beautiful face, are able to bring in quite a number of individuals that you intend to bring home to your little neck of the woods. You take them to your penthouse, sort of almost not really a penthouse. I would say more of like a standalone sort of miniature mansion almost. It's probably 5 or 6 bedrooms. It's 2 floors. It's got several bathrooms. It's got a nice grand hall in the front. And it's got the sort of sensibilities that you would have for decor of your choosing. But each and every one of the individuals that you've brought along are more than happy to drape themselves all over you and everyone else that seems to be attending this party. And Alex and Aaron are waiting in the wings where they desire. And that is successful enough that I am going to grant each of them 2 points of blood.
Well, I can't bring it down to nothing. So can I bring it down to 1 and then roll my 3 rouses and then bring it down the other?
I was going to ask the same thing.
You can split it up how you like in order to do that, yes.
You're the best. All right.
So Mox only gains 1 hunger for having healed and aggravated damage.
Jesus!
But it does not seem that Aaron is nearly that successful. Goes straight back to 4 before sipping on that last little 1.
It's 3 hunger. But you know what? Something is better than nothing. At least he can walk around in public.
Well, you gained
that's the
3.
goal.
You were at 1, so that would bring you to 4, wouldn't it?
It did. So correction. I started at 2. I brought it down 1.
Mm-hmm.
I did my 3. it brought it to 4, and then I took down the other one because you said we got 2 hunger out of it.
Right. So
that puts me at 3 total.
Right. That's perfectly fair.
Math.
I was trying to
Math's
determine whether
hard.
that was going to incur a frenzy check on your part. But we'll forgo that.
Oh, that's what you're going for.
That's what I was that's what I was hinting at, is if you split it up, are you hunger checking? Are you frenzy checking? Or what are we doing?
House party frenzy!
Jesus.
I'm not going to make
Well,
you do
they're
it.
shotgunning beers while Aaron's shotgunning a partygoer.
I'm
You
not going
can't impose it. I'm just terrified because chances are this is going to result in a dead person.
I'm not going to make you do it.
Okay. It's up to your discretion. I'm not going to fight it either way.
I'm a benevolent god. You might suffer in other
Bless you.
ways.
Oh, well, I'm already suffering, but the crispy Serpico is he's been fixed, so he can go continue protecting the hood.
He's still a little hollow on the front side, but at least he has a little bit of skin covering it.
Got my voice box back. I open up my shirt, I look like a burn victim, but at least I don't look dead already. It's better.
After Dorian sees everybody into a cab or an Uber, he'll go and check on those two.
Okay. You'll find neither of them has left a body, and everyone that you have brought to this occasion seems to be walking away, maybe with the worst thing being a hangover.
Well,
Whether it's from
hopefully
blood
that-
drinking or whether it's from alcohol, that remains to be seen. It was a party, after all.
Yeah. Dorian has a well-stocked bar. If nothing for but his experiences.
Mm-hmm. But checking up
Oh.
on them, they're otherwise fine.
Gotta say, Mr. Resner, you are a stand-up gentleman. You don't know
I
how
do
you
try.
saved me tonight.
Well, it's kind of what we do, isn't it?
Suppose it is. Well, I ain't got a lot at the moment. But, figured there is a degree of things to be had. I know you got your whole shindig being put together right now. If you need someone to set up any sort of tech, security, anything like that, I know a guy. He's been helping me since, before being dead. Go back a bit.
I might
Here's a
call
phone
you,
number.
or I might call him on that then. With what I have going on that I'm building, security would be a good thing of the cyber kind.
Yeah. He's a bit of an oddball, though. Goes by the name Codicius.
Well, when the
Dude.
club is at that point, we'll have to get his help then.
Yeah. Just don't mind the drugs.
I don't judge.
Good man. He pats him on the back like,
It is getting late, and I think I might retire for the evening. Have a bit of paperwork to do.
Speaking
I
of,
should probably return to my stall.
long ass night. Suppose I'll see you all whenever you happen to get in touch with me.
You'll see me tomorrow evening.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Resner,
Always
Thank
a
you
pleasure.
again.
Like I said, that's what we do. And he'll just get a smile and shake your hand.
He'll shake it back, and you sense a fondness kind of growing on him. Maybe before he was like, kind of like standoffish, like, what is this guy even doing? But now you're reading it more like Aaron is like, all right, he's tight. He's got it together.
And I would go about setting up and calling and like doing things for the new club that we're building and getting that ball rolling.
All right.
Try to expedite that.
Not a problem. Which brings us to Shriek. Shriek, you are finding your way towards a warehouse. A warehouse that would have the little tracking device that Mr. Resner had activated on a phone. Find my phone sort of applications are always so handy in these kinds of situations. It makes things just that much easier to keep tabs on people. And you do indeed like to keep tabs on people. So, having made your way to this little place, what is it that you do? What are you trying to find?
Well, at this given point, I thought it would be nice to be able to end up letting the gain away from the gang more than anything. The hope is I can end up finding what it is that Keller's up to. Preferably to be able to end up having a little bit of, seeing where all this blood's going. Sure, he might deal blood to the prince, and sure, he might be involved in some nefarious dealings. That doesn't really matter to me. No, not one bit. What really ends up mattering to me is a little bit of threads that not gonna lie, a part of me is hoping that because it's just too good to be true. The idea that he might be involved with the Second Inquisition.
Wouldn't that be juicy?
Oh, it would be. But the other part is something Anna told me a long time ago. He won't let her go. Took me a bit to put that together, but I think I got a working theory. He won't let her go. The reason that Anna ended up saying that is because we currently have a missing Primogen. And why is that so important? Well, that's so important because, well, let's take a step back and a little bit of a history lesson, shall we? Detroit. Second Inquisition tried to make their own vampires, a kind of infiltration unit. Kind of thing that ended up making people end up stepping in. Well, good way to end up working from the inside, so to speak. Now, if you know that's happening, we got a little bit of a whiff on that with the twins now, didn't we? That's a curious notion. But they are supposedly the childer of our dear forgotten Primogen. The one that originally ruled Arlington. Now, if her that Anna said she wouldn't let go happens to be said Primogen, probably holding them in a safe place. This seems like as good of a lead to follow. If I find her in here, well, I just might have to be a really naughty boy.
So how do you go about finding? How do you go about getting into this warehouse? Because there's entrances, but they all seem to be barred up or blocked or something to that nature.
Please. Have you known a lock or a couple of bars to keep me out?
Never.
So let me do what I do best.
Go ahead and roll a break-in. Yep.
Help Dex with a wonderful little bit of boost. Derek dice do not show up tonight. 5's respectable.
That
5's
is respectable.
respectable.
Very respectable. Quiet as a mouse. Quiet as the little mouse on your shoulder that is skittering around. You pull away the blocks and the lock that is on this particular little entrance into this warehouse. You slip inside, staying to the dark places, staying to the wall, sort of surveying your surroundings. And for the most part, what you see right now is that this place is empty. It certainly looks empty.
Makes sense. It's a front. Certainly looks empty, but signal's still coming from here. Which tells me the phone's still here. If the phone's still here, that means it's being stored elsewhere, or it is on property. Now, the first thing that comes to mind, me being the naughty little Nosferatu that I am, I have to end up thinking that the warehouse at the top is a bit of a front. It's supposed to be empty. Things don't get shipped here. It's just barred up for good use, good cover. But Nosferatu have a tendency to end up going underground. Given the size of this warehouse, as I understand it, it's wide, it's tall, it's empty.
Mm-hmm.
So going underground sounds like a bit of a lark. Maybe some hatches, maybe a stairwell, maybe someplace just hidden underneath a desk in the office. Doesn't take much. And most people would probably stop here. There's nothing to see here. Well, that's the point of an empty warehouse. No reason to break in, no reason to stick around. But I remember our dear hound, who also has a propensity to have hidden underground bunkers inside of what seems to be fairly empty spaces. Seems everybody's pulling from the same playbook.
Maybe they all get it from the same source. So you go looking for ways that you would go down. Strangely enough, inside this particular warehouse seems to be a cargo elevator. And that cargo elevator, you see, has switches for going up into the rafters, because it does seem that there are a significant portion of the sort of walkways and catwalks that would be leading up to maybe things to store up there. And then going down to maybe a sub-level. Sub-levels are not common in Texas.
No, I imagine not.
The dirt shifts far too much to make any kind of basement all that viable. But you press down on the elevator.
Might I make an addendum on that,
Sure.
in case this is a possibility?
Sure.
If it is a service elevator, most service elevators do have an extension to the shaft to be able to ladder out just in case it gets stuck.
Of course.
Would it be possible to end up doing that without activating it and letting anybody who's potentially here know that I am?
In that case, I would ask for a dexterity and stealth.
No
Just-
Derek dice, please. No Derek dice, please. No Derek dice, please.
Okay.
Three. You know what? Three is.
Three is
It's not
solid.
great, but it's pretty solid. Just lower than average dice pool, but that's why I have a stupidly high dice pool.
You're fairly confident that you would be able to remain mostly unheard from any kind who might overhear you. You're a little shaky on whether or not those with very perky ears would be able to catch the noises that you're making, but you're very quiet nonetheless. Sliding down the ladder inside the service shaft. Ooh, pardon me.
Right inside the shower shaft.
the service elevator shaft.
I like it better the other way.
Reaching the bottom. And there is indeed another floor to this place. And now it is pitch dark.
Thankfully, heightened senses makes things a little bit easier.
You reach into that power of aspects that you get from feeding in the way that you do. The ability to sort of adjust your vision to be able to see a little more clearly in the dark. It's not perfect, but it does in a pinch. You see things in blacks and whites. You see the basement that you're looking into stretches about as long as the warehouse does. But what you find down here are pallets, tools, gurneys, beeping monitors. You see that there are sort of, it almost looks like aisles that are made out of wood in this warehouse. From your vantage point right now.
I'll take a look. If I had to guess, these are people who were stored here from the beeping. Probably somebody on emergency support, or just making sure that they're kept alive. Probably rare vintages down here. It might take a snack or two, but that's not the priority. I'm looking for something more. I'm looking for experimentation, tampering, or the evidence that I need to end up showcasing that he is, in fact, dealing with the previous primogen. After all, wouldn't be doing my duty to the Camarilla if I didn't. Thank you very much, Cat.
So you're slinking through these sort of imitation hallways and aisles and things like that are going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You walk quietly, making sure your footsteps aren't heard, making sure no one knows you're here. You pass each one of these sort of wooden makeshift walls, and what you see on each of them is a body, a person, a corpse sometimes, maybe. You're not sure. One monitor seems to be flatlined. Poor sap. Others are faint. None of them seem to be moving. In fact, all of them seem to be bound to these things. Several of which are bound to gurney beds several of which are bound to the walls themselves, packed into these places like sardines. Several of which you see have only a torso left. They have no monitor attached to them. In fact, the only thing attached to them is a pipeline. A pipeline filled with red liquid. You can
I knew
smell the
Keller was
blood
messed
stench on them.
I knew he was messed up. You know, I should have suspected. I really should have. You know, there's a part of me that wants to end up hurting this. Almost want to burn it down on principle, if only it wasn't outing me. But I'm gonna keep digging around. Maybe look for a healthier vessel. Waste not, want not. There's not much you can do for them other than kill them. But even that's a line. That's a line. This is the dirty work of the Camarilla. This is that reality that most people don't want to acknowledge. I get it. I really do. A lot easier if you're feeding off the same person over and over again, if they just up and disappeared from the world with no chance of getting out. Really, it's slick. I'm a little bit envious, maybe. If it wasn't for the fact that this is fucked in ways that I don't even want to end up going into. This is the kind of fucked you experience with your teacher in grade school. Well, that being said, we're going to have to end up looking about. I will... If I find one that I think I might be able to swipe a point or two off of without causing a complication, I will. Mostly on the fact it's right here anyway. The other portion of it is, though, I'm looking for familiar faces. I'm looking for useful information. Because I hate to say it, Court doesn't care about this kind of behavior. Some would probably applaud his ingenuity. This is the kind of thing that ends up making me feel a little sick to my stomach. Hell, for all I know, he's probably pulling a lot of them out of the Arlington domain. Nice little operation. Make sure everybody else is too scared to go out, have a hard time feeding. Now he's got the supply, and everybody else has to come to him for favors. Apply the prince, get him his drip. Feed, not clothing. Yeah, I gotta say, Keller, nice little op you got here. But it's not incriminating in the eyes of the Camarilla.
One of the torsos starts to groan.
I go to it. Look at it. Wouldn't happen to be anybody I know, would it?
It's a woman. Looks like she had her steak recently pulled from her heart.
Oh, that's interesting. I lean in and whisper. Can you hear me?
I heard you step in through the door. You shouldn't be here.
Imogen. You're getting out of here tonight.
No, I'm not.
I look over. Now, why would you say something that foolish?
Because Prince Warsi won't allow it.
Won't allow it.
This is my punishment.
For what?
For betraying the Camarilla.
He leans in. His fangs go long. What did you do, my little Primogen?
I was hunted. And that's when you feel a hand on your shoulder.
I don't even turn around. You know, I was wondering how long it'd take to find me out.
Nosy little pest.
He turns.
It is a man in a mask. Tall, hooded. Something ancient about that mask.
And Swarzy, not. I apologize. I thought you were Keller. 1,000 apologies, my prince.
You do not belong here.
I had certain suggestions placed that meant I need to look into it. Unfortunately, I couldn't have known that this was by your hand. I have to applaud you in that. Not many things go beneath my notice.
Indeed. I should kill you where you stand, young little neonate.
Why would that be, my dear prince?
You safeguard the way that you feed, much as any other kindred in this domain, and yet you have discovered mine. A secret I keep guarded. A secret I keep very close to my chest. And I should put you on a pyre and have you as my delicious meal for eternity on end. In her stead, maybe, or maybe combined. I don't know yet. Which
Ask
do
of
you
my-
think?
Ask of my blood and you will have it. Prince Wapsi, if I may be permitted, since this is a private audience, a rare privilege of one of my stature.
Indeed. Use it wisely.
You have found a neonate who is able to put the pieces together and find this operation. That is a skill set that's very valued. I also helped oust the Anarchs from this domain. I simply do what I have always done. And with Keller being placed into position, I have questioned his capability along with others. Is it not within my purview to be sure of his allegiances, especially with noted involvement suspected of the Second Inquisition? Am I to turn a blind eye?
I was under the impression that Dead Man's Hand had dealt with the Second Inquisition problem.
The problem, yes, not the involvements. No one is above suspicion. You have taught me that, Prince Warzi. No one. I had suspected you placed Keller in the domain as a form of punishment. Now I see that it is reward for keeping Brucato on ice for your preferences.
For her betrayal.
She's the one that worked with the Second Inquisition, wasn't she?
You're a smart lad. Tell me how you think it is. Tell me your theory.
New knowledge? She said she was hunted. Let's presume that to be the truth. Second Inquisition was on to her. In order to bide herself time, she agreed to end up fostering their experimentation. The twins weren't a cry for help, they were the prototypes. You kept them around and hoped that they would end up serving as bait for the Second Inquisition, which they've served as immaculate in that role. You kept Brucato here after getting her and finding her betrayal, and as a form of punishment as well as a side deal. Because she's more useful to you in this state than any other. In that regard, Keller knew. He'd also have to suspect that I would be looking about. That would be prudent. Well done on his part. He informed you. You came here knowing I would be here. This wasn't a random feeding incident. This was orchestrated by Keller himself. Now, perhaps he did so with the hopes of me being removed from the board. That you would do as you said. Consume me. Add me to your feeding routine. I can certainly see that. But I think he may be presuming you to be narrow-sighted. Hoping to remove one problem. I am young. He is my elder. I respect his wishes to the point where it no longer contradicts with my prince. But there's a discerned difference between he and I. I can be trusted because I actually see it. I think, limited as my vision may be, I'm starting to see this city as you. I believe in the Camarilla, my prince. And no defectors or betrayal. would go under my notice. I won't permit it. Even if it goes so far as to look into my own primogen. He may have me bending the knee in court, but I serve you. His word, so long as it doesn't contradict with yours, has been honored. And I'm like to believe myself incredibly shrewd, intelligent, but most importantly, loyal. Something that has been lacking in this city for quite some time. And you need somebody who can end up trying to ascertain the difference between those who have loyalty and those who feign it out of fear. Fear placates them. They don't believe. Not like I do. If you wish for my blood, Prince, you need only ask. If this is the final moments I have with you, before I'm strapped, I will end up doing so willingly. But I think the only reason Keller got the domain is because of this. But you wouldn't have put him in that position if you weren't also stacking the dominoes against him. A bit of insurance, if you will, to leverage his loyalty. Because he's far more dangerous with your secret than I.
Interesting theory.
My prince wished to know my mind, and so I offered it without hesitation.
And I appreciate that you have given it to me freely, young Shriek.
Whatever misgivings I may have, Prince Warzi, I serve the Camarilla. And for whatever they may say, I have never seen you do otherwise. In that, I hope I'm correct.
Tell me something I don't know.
Our new coterie mate, Aaron, belongs to a family of hunters. While it seems like his loyalty is shifted, his confliction is still there. I believe if given the proper motivation, you can wield that fire with a true loyalty that I've displayed here. I believe that he's a more useful tool to you than many would realize, as all they see is a dimwit. Someone who would drive truck and maybe be useful with a shotgun. But his mind's a little bit more keen. And at this point, he needs a sense of belonging. Were he to find that in you, you'd have something far more powerful than a scourge. And no one would know it. You would also end up finding yourself to end up noticing that Reznor plots to end up building up this little domain to bring it stability. He believes he's operating underneath the outside of Keller's purview. Perhaps, perhaps not. He's ambitious, but a doldrum in court. I would see it that way continued. Allow him to build up his nest egg, find a place of importance. And you would end up finding yourself being able to influence the domain with an indirect hand, one that may be below the notices of a primogen. And yet, with your full discretion.
It is in that domain that I toss that which cannot be trusted.
Including me.
You're growing on me. You, instead, were a plant for the very reason you suspect. You would sooner out those disloyal to me than risk your own head.
One does not live to be your age by being brave.
Nor do they grow the fortitude to last ages without a bit of a spine.
Is that what I'm demonstrating to you here tonight, my prince?
You are just demonstrating some rather unique bravery amongst the kindred of the Dallas domain.
You either will have my head this night, or I will walk out those doors. That is within your purview. And I'm not going to claim that I have the strength to best you. Nor do I think even if I could, I'd be praised as some sort of hero for doing so. I suspect I would be reduced to ash within moments of that
Lynched.
delusional victory.
No, I think you are useful for the time being, David.
A higher praise I could never hope for.
Now, if you don't mind, you have other business to attend to, don't you?
What shall I tell them that I found? If I don't tell them something, they'll get suspicious.
Tell them the truth. A lie makes no difference. I will know either way.
And that is why you are my prince. He lowers his head for a moment. Turns. Looks to Vanessa Brucato.
She's crying tears of blood at the moment, wishing she could escape. You could see it on her face.
Former Primogen Brucato, it has been a pleasure. To know your fate was a gracious moment. I look forward to teaching your child. They belong to me. And with that, he starts to walk out.
Which I think is also a great place for us to call the session for tonight.
Holy shit, dude.
Coffee, I congratulate you. You managed to do a hell of a twist. It is very rare you get the opportunity to do so. You did it. I love it.
That was awesome.
Wow. Holy fuck.
Uh-huh. Holy shit.
See, I knew what you wanted, but I wanted to put a twist on it.
You got it. You got it. I love it. I love it. I'm hoping I pieced it together pretty good after the fact, but...
Oh, yes. Fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much for playing my game.
Thank you for hosting.
Thank you.
I'm glad you guys have been enjoying it so far, so, you know...
We lost a fat guy, by the way. His internet dropped, so...
Oh, boo. Sad day. Oh, well. It's okay. We did get to finish up what Dorian was up to tonight, so it's sad that his internet kind of crapped out, but, you know, there's always the end of the VOD that he can watch, which, you know, will be posted, I believe, next week, Wednesday. But we're watching live, so you're here. Let's dish out some experience. I don't think there's any stains, question mark?
I got the job done.
Got the job done.
I managed
the
to
job
hold up
done.
all 3 of the Chronicle tenants, actually.
Ooh, look at you.
What damn.
And anything I would have even come close to is protected by one of my personal convictions. Render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's.
And Brocado is Caesar's right now.
Yep.
All right. No stains for Shriek. I don't think there's any stains for Alex.
Well, she did feed on people.
She did feed on people.
Again.
Good job.
So,
yeah, you can take the one stain for that.
Yeah,
because that goes against your Wiccan tenets.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything for Aaron, is there? Let me...
No. I literally did precisely what he would have done in this situation, which is...
Don't stop.
Just get the job done.
Don't stop.
Don't stop. Get the job done.
Just do it. Just do it.
And he did it.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Aaron is rubbing off on her. That brutality is rubbing off.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, with that being said, we got the audience poll up for those of you in the audience to vote on your favorite, regardless of what criteria you believe that the player qualifies for. Just do it. Just put in a vote, spend your channel points, because that's really all we have channel points for at the moment. So do the things. So that means everybody gets their one experience for today for showing up at the table. But then we have some roleplay prompts for which we dish out some extra bonus experience for those who performed well and above and their peers vote on it. So, out of my cast of players, because sadly, Fat Guy's internet went kabonk, who moved our plot the furthest?
Drake.
That was that couldn't even be more perfectly timed on my end. Let's be real. That was unanimous and at the same time. Shriek, you get it.
Yay!
Yay. Best scene.
I really...
Go ahead.
No, you first.
I was going to give it to Dresner. Because, dear God, just watching him, like, try to end up doing... I feel, like, so heartwarmed whenever I end up seeing him trying to negotiate and trying to play the angles, you know? It's like, oh, you beautiful little fleshling. You know, I've been doing this for a long time, but you're trying so hard. I love it. I love it. And every so often, it's like, he's hinting that you need a bribe. You know, like, but just like Dear God, you're the little engine that could. My heart will still be my heart.
Heart.
I gotta. At that
Heart
point.
melt.
Like there was so many weird shit that was going on between you two, where it's like, oh great, and who exploded this time, right? Which is entertaining. But dear freaking God. Also, Specs, yes, you're right. I wasn't gonna sell you up the road because that would have been a personal tenant breach.
Oh.
Yep.
Ooh, interesting.
Because remember, his other one is never reveal a source.
Oh
Ooh.
shit. Okay.
He doesn't reveal his sources. Yep.
Yeah, that was a great.
So
It was a great scene.
I'd like to think I thread that needle pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
I have had the most fun tonight playing Aaron as a fucking crisp. Aaron's excited, crunchy pattering through the church to find out what was behind the ward with Alex and extension. Aaron's zombie prank on Mr. Resner and almost getting shot for it.
Yep.
Worth.
Yeah, he's having so much fun being like literally. You know what?
I can't feel pain.
No. You know what it's gonna be? It's gonna be Aaron Winters, dead and loving it.
True.
Honestly, I really loved crispy fried Aaron as well.
My favorite. Yeah, like I'm gonna give it to Dorian, but yeah, I can definitely see. See, I think that Aaron has best line. Ow!
I was gonna say best line with Alex with "You're cute, but not like this." Like just completely threw Aaron for a loop.
But did
He's
we
like,
decide on best scene? Or
I'm voting myself.
Yeah, best scene. I'm gonna say Aaron.
well, Aaron got the audience favorite. So
Krispy Kreme should.
we have Resner, we have Aaron. Who else? Or are we tying it up, or what are we doing?
No.
Best line.
Best line.
No, we didn't
goes-
decide best scene. Because
Yeah, we did.
Aaron.
Aaron. Oh, okay. Well,
It's me.
Aaron got two. Dorian got one.
okay. I missed that completely.
No, it's all good.
Yoinked.
Okay, now best line.
Yeah, now best line. Ow. Just like, not even like over the top. Just ow.
I explode you, and you just say, "Ow!"
Look, Aaron is so easy because all of the little tidbits of rural nonsense and humor that I have from my childhood and growing up, I get to just throw all into him, and it's working for me. So
Yes. Absolutely.
he's a little slapstick as a response.
But that's the gremlin part of you. It's what it is, Specs.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
You get
God,
to be-
I love Aaron so
You
much.
get to be the comic relief to the seriousness with the prince. Let's be real.
Oh, thank God. I love being comic relief.
I legitimately, a hand is put on your shoulder. It's about time, Mr. Keller. Oh, hi, Prince Wise. Swerved. Okay, well then.
Well, best
I
line
did
was
like Alex.
Aaron or
I did like Alex's line.
Alex?
I did like Alex's line because he's like, I gotta go.
Aaron does not do well with compliments.
Yep. He had to reboot.
It happens with UA all the time. Like the entirety of the time that Coffee was going through that scene, he's just like, "Is this flirting?" It's not. He doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know how to handle.
He's so adorable. Well, what do you think, Derek? Who among them had
Ow.
Ow.
Ow gets it.
Okay.
I'm just saying it now. Ow gets it. That was just
Brilliant.
it was one of those, like, this should be a freaking cartoon. You know, like, this is Wile E. Coyote when the stick of dynamite blows up on him. It's just like...
Oh, yeah. Basically the same thing. Yep.
I think
sign, tiny font.
I do think that is 2 votes for Alex, though.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Because Mox voted Alex and Spectre
Yeah.
voted Alex?
Yep.
Okay.
What was the exact line? I'm putting these things in my notes now.
You're cute, but not,
Not
like this.
Not like this. Not like this. Matrix meme. Well, that does it for the experience portion of this session, and that more or less concludes everything that we're doing tonight. So, with that being said...
Oh, audience.
Oh,
Was there audience vote?
Aaron.
already,
Yep,
yeah,
Aaron.
that was you.
Oh, holy
Aaron.
shit. Wow.
Yeah, they loved you.
They love you.
Oh, thank you. They tolerate me. They really tolerate me.
I mean, to be fair, comic relief is pretty on point. Let's be real, and you sell it pretty well. So,
Well, thank you.
so there's that. I would not disagree with the audience this time. So, well, that does it for us here in the whole CoffeeCat Presents realm. So, we're actually going to be I personally am going to be away for the next 2 sessions of Blood and Iron. So next Wednesday and the following Wednesday we will not be having a game, sadly, as I will be on vacation, instead visiting Hero Zone, one of our friends of the channel, and visiting him in Ohio, and very likely crashing his stream as a result. So that's where I will be, probably doing a whole lot of miniature painting, doing a whole lot of discussions of tabletop RPGs, and all sorts of nonsense during that whole time, as well as, going to watch the eclipse when the eclipse happens on that Monday during that week that I'm gone. So, which also means that there is going to be a one rebirth session, which will not be, which I won't be here for. So there's going to be a little bit of a hiatus while I'm away, but you can find me at the Hero Zone for that week, so that's where I'm gonna be. But Derek does streaming, and has been trying to take it easy on himself with the streams, but as his shoulder is still recovering just a little bit. But I do still want to shout out my good friend Macabre Derek, who plays Shriek, who does an awesome job being the little shit disturber and the ass kisser when it needs to happen. You kiss the right ass and you smack the other asses.
I just kept crawling, and it just kept working.
Yes, exactly. There you go. Derek does art. In fact, most of the art for this stream is provided by Derek for a lot of the different characters. So for Alex, for Shriek, for Aaron, for Dorian, for Anna in the past, for Kane, all of those pieces were courtesy of Macabre Derek, because he does awesome work, and I love his style, especially for the kind of mood that I was going for when it came to the art style for this game. So y'all should go check him out, follow him, subscribe to him, give him all of the art love, because he's damn fantastic. He's been working on a Yaira fan art recently, just kind of taking his time with it. Yaira is kind of a brand new book on the comic scene, so y'all should look that up too. But that's enough of me shilling for the man. Spectre, what you do? You occasionally do things, right? You may not stream them, but you occasionally do things.
Oh, well, there are some things that are coming up. Hi, my name is Spectre Deflector. I am a community illustrator for tabletop RPG groups, and am also a player in CoffeeCat's game, obviously. And I also ST my own Vampire the Masquerade game. So coming up pretty soon, I'm going to be releasing episode 1 of Emerald City, Sanguine Solstice. It is going to be provided via Vimeo. So check that out between my Discord, which is Sidene Storytelling. I will also post it in promotionals in Derek's Discord and
Better post it in
Coffee's
mine.
Discord.
Yeah, I was gonna say better post it in mine.
Absolutely. Trailer will be coming soon, so stay tuned.
Yeah. So, VODs will be on Vimeo. Nice. And then there's Mox. She doesn't stream
Hi.
much. She doesn't do.
No. I
doesn't
just come in here
doesn't
and
do a whole
enjoy
lot.
your
Mox,
lovely
do the
people.
thing.
Which thing?
The thing.
I don't know. Which thing are you talking about?
Oh. Well.
Here, I'll shill for Moxie. This is Moxiepox, one of our favorite and wonderful tabletop RPG community players. Has also ST'd a couple of their own stories and games. So if you want to hang out and chat along with them, go ahead. Give them a DM. See what's up.
Please do not be sliding into my DMs. I cannot handle this.
I tried.
I do.
I don't know what you want.
No, but Mox is definitely a very, very favored member of the team here. And then, of course, Fat Guy, who has been working on trying to get his stream set back up, but he occasionally plays video games with us here in the community, so you'll probably see him around, hanging out here and there when his internet's not derping. So, but yeah, that does it for all of us. And the community, we love you. If you're watching live on Twitch, you should go and check out the YouTube, because that's where I post all the VODs. If you need to catch up on something, go and do it, because that's where I post all the things. If you're on YouTube and you're not following us here on Twitch, you should come hang out, because we go live most every, except for this coming week, Wednesday and Saturday for Vampire the Masquerade and for D&D respectively. So you should come along. We've got Black Wolf in the chat waving at you so that you could say hi. So say hi in the comment section, like and subscribe if you're not already. And I suppose that finishes everything. So with that being said, say goodnight, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Does anybody else smell bacon?